Австралийг Welcome. Сайн байцгаана уу хүн үзэгчтэй. Өнөөдөр манай de facto нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Энэтхэгийн бизнесмен мөн Юнилевер компанид гүйцэтгэх удирдлагт ажиллаж байсан ноён Мехмүүд Хан оролцож байна.
Мехмүүд Хан нь 37 жилийн туршид олон улсад ажиллаж байсан. Тэрээр 27 жилийн туршид Юнилеверт ажиллахдаа Энэтхэг, Сингапур, Нидерланд, Их Британи дахь салбаруудад ажиллаж байсан. Мехмүүд Хан Юнилеверийн Лондон дахь салбарт ажиллаж байгаад 2009 онд тэтгэвэртээ гарсан. Мehmood нь IIM Network-г үүсгэн байгуулснаас гадна Rasuli Kanwar Khan Trust-ын менежментийн зөвлөхөөр ажилладаг. 2009 оны Форбес Индиа сэтгүүлээс Мehmood-ыг оны шилдэг хүн номинацид нэр дэвшүүлжсэн бол Бхарат Самман Авардсаас 2011 онд шагнал хүртсэн. Мehmood Хан одоогоор дэлхийг илүү сайхан газар болгохын төлөө нийгмийн зүтгэлтнээр ажиллаж байна. Тэрээр Хиссарын их сургуулийг 1975 онд төгссөн, 1977 онд Энэтхэгийн менежментийн институтийг төгссөн.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Welcome to Mongolia.
Thank you.
Well, in fact, you came here for to Mongolia for many years ago.
Yes.
What brought you to Mongolia?
Well, I came, and actually you were my host. I came in 1991. And I was at that time heading Unilever operations in East Asia. I was based in Singapore. So I came here to have a look at Mongolia was just opening. So in the autumn of 1991 is when I came to Mongolia first.
So 1991, just the beginning of market economy in this country. That time, if you remember, the shops were almost empty. And why you have decided that Unilever, the international brand, tell us a little bit about Unilever, and then Unilever, how come that the country couldn't buy many things? Why you believe that it could be success?
Well, it's interesting. Unilever posted me to pioneer into all these countries which were coming out of cold. So Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, China, Vietnam, Mongolia. Now China was little ahead because they had opened in 1979, but the rest of these countries were simultaneously sort of opening kind of thing. And I had an inherent belief because Mongolia, because it's a large, vastly sort of a big country with 3 billion people, young population, relatively better educated. So I always had a feel that this country in terms of potential was really, sort of not being put into what we call as unlocking the value. So the whole purpose of coming to Mongolia was that this country has a potential of leapfrogging a lot of other countries.
So now, 3 years after, do you still believe in that?
And actually it has proven my point.
Okay.
So if you look at Mongolia relative to the other countries, Mongolia has moved faster, and that is because it's only 3 million people, but it's vast resources. So in terms of the way the country has opened up to the world, and particularly the way it has embraced democracy, free market economy. So, and particularly if you look at the statistics in recent past 2012-13, they prove the point that Mongolia has moved faster than a lot of these other countries.
You, through Unilever, I think there was a sales office or another company representing it.
Distributor.
And through this distributor, what was the name?
At that time the company was called Dalamal, we appointed.
Dalamal. Through that company, the products, international quality, high quality products of consumers goods, soap, what else? There was a soap and
Well, you see, Unilever is in everyday needs business, and what we did ourselves as a Unilever is market insights, and particularly the marketing activities. So at that time, we are now in your modern studio, but the Mongolian TV and UB TV didn't have equipment. So I had to do the basic work of market insights, which we call market research and insight, but also in terms of the advertising and marketing activities, all of that I had to coordinate it, and we created capabilities on the ground by equipping the studios with modern equipment, bringing our international advertising, basically communicating that to the consumers, and that is why our market shares moved very rapidly in this country. We have detergent business, Omo, personal care business, Pepsodent, shampoos like Sunsilk. So all of this, when we launched, in a matter of few years, we had major market share in this market, because this was ready. Basically, if you look at before the Berlin Wall fell, in the ex-communist world, the people were starved for their needs. Nobody was bothering about what consumers wanted, and that is what sort of unlocking happened.
And later on, you became a head of the innovation of the transnational corporations like Unilever. What is that about?
That is because what happened was this job had given me a lot of experience on working across the categories and across a lot of countries. So then in Unilever, we started more and more what we call globalizing Unilever in terms of process, systems, and the objective was how do we bring new and fascinating goods and services offerings to the consumers across the world. So that is why I was then transferred to London, and in that position I started working across the globe we had 17,000 people who were involved in innovation, and these people on the ground, we had a lot of these R&D labs, we had a lot of marketing teams, but we needed to design common processes and systems so that they could leverage each other's knowledge and see around. So we created basically the new technology communications and connected the communities across the world. So 17,000 people, depending on their role, they were able to see things from, you can call from east in Tokyo and Shanghai to the west in, let's say, whatever was happening in America in the Unilever business. And that process was basically innovation process where we were bringing creativity, capability and discipline to bring big, bold innovations for consumers across the world.
Okay, a company, any company, if its product or process is based on innovation or boosted by innovation, makes a difference. In case of Unilever, that innovation focus was on which part of value chain or the product creation?
Everything actually. Unilever learned through all of this. Before the Berlin Wall fell, the businesses were running in each country as islands. After that, then we realized now the world is getting more integrated. So first thing immediately in Unilever was how do we share the knowledge and expertise which was going around. And it is about consumer insights, it is about marketing and communication, it is about better technologies and offerings to the consumers, it was about efficient supply chains. So basically energizing the whole company in terms of listening to the, let's say, Unilever addresses needs literally of all the consumers across the world. And so it was because we are present in more than 160 countries. So it was how do we sort of delight the consumers across the world.
Welcome. You were in charge of this
I was in
integration
charge of the process.
process.
Yes.
And how many years?
11 years.
11 years.
1998 to 2009.
Wow. Okay. Now, worldwide, can you tell us some statistics of market share of Unilever in a particular product?
Unilever globally, in our categories, you see, we are, you can call a 80 billion, more than $80 billion business. And we are across in lot of categories. Now we are calling them as home care, personal care, refreshments and foods. So in all of this we have, one of the interesting thing which the work when we were globalizing Unilever, in 1998 Unilever had more than 6,000 brands, but only the trademark lawyers knew it. So we said we can't be innovating on 6,000 brands. So we needed to do big bold innovations and we needed to put focus, and that was only possible if we had created common process and systems. And for that purpose we needed to unlock lot of wastages which were going around. You know, sort of, if you imagine in each country everybody is innovating everything, you don't create big bold innovation. So that is how the businesses were restructured to align Unilever's R&D capabilities and Unilever knowledge of the world. So that is the kind of a process this whole journey took place. It happened, and as a result of which we started making big, bold, billion-dollar brands. So give you an example, Unilever has one brand called Dove. It was innovated in about more than 50 years ago in USA, but it had not come to Europe and Asia till 1990, let's say. So then we said, here is a powerful brand, and in it, you won't believe the kind of figure it has achieved. It became an industry in itself, and the kind of with the innovations, the kind of offerings it started having and the kind of connect it started having. So I'm giving you a bit old statistic. It had crossed 3 billion in 2009. So that is the sort of
brand itself
alone, one brand.
And you said whole total industry is about $1 billion industry.
No, we as a Unilever.
As a Unilever.
And industry could be, you know.
And what is the closest competitor?
We have two competitors. On the home and personal care side, we have an American company called P&G. And on the food side, there is a Swiss company called Nestle.
Yes.
These are our two closest competitors.
Procter & Gamble's in the US side.
US side for home and personal care.
Okay.
Because they are not as much in foods.
See, just take three of you.
Yeah.
Procter & Gamble's, Unilever, Nestle.
Yeah.
So among three of you, you are in a particular industry altogether would be majority of the market share?
I won't use that, no. See what happens is each country, because there are a lot of other regional and local brands and lot of habits wise. So, you know, let's say depends on each country. So, let's say if we are in a particular country where we are strong, we might have 50% market share.
I see.
But then our other competitors will not be as strong in that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then what happens is in lot of the other regional and local players would be having lot of market shares into that.
So you have been to work into so many different countries across the globe, and it's a lot of things has to do with the branding.
Yes.
Marketing.
Yeah.
What are the most important ingredients in marketing?
The most important, number one ingredient of marketing is insights of people. Until unless
your consumer.
For the consumer. Until unless you know about people, about their habits, how they live, what their needs are, you know, in terms of what, you know, aspirations they are, all of that, until unless you know that, you will not be able to prepare what we call a proper mix to offer them.
Okay.
After you have understood that process, then the other things start playing. On the one side is a technology front, which is what you bring, new technologies are developing, and depending on each insight, then you tap into those technologies.
So you have a product, you know, a customer, and then now
and then other side is the what we call a brand communication you start developing, because it's one thing to develop a product and offering, but the other side is communicating that to the consumer.
Yes.
And that is why all of these things have to run parallel.
Okay.
See, in the innovation funnel, the insight which we have developed, then we start working on the one side on the physical product, what we need to do, but the other side is the communication and marketing strategy. How are we going to sort of launch it, how are we going to communicate it, and how will we connect with the consumer. So, what we call is the pull and push. So, the push is in terms of what we bring the offering to the market, then we set up distribution network, then we talk to the retailer, because we do not sell to consumer directly, we are doing it what we call retailers or shopkeepers. So, that is one side of the story. The other side is we are pulling the consumer through communication, telling them all the good benefits of these things, and then they come to the retailer, okay, this is where it is available.
See, recently now, the information says, the statistics say now that, for example, in China, first time the smartphone users are exceeding the internet users on computer. So now the channels are changing.
Yes.
How the brand would react to that?
Absolutely, you are spot on. This is a new way of connecting with consumers. And in fact, one of the things which is happening in the latest modern world now is that it's a very, very dynamic, that the technology is helping us to directly communicate with the consumers through, as you say, straight away through the mobile technologies or through their computers. And the other side, we can directly deliver the goods to their homes now, because again there are technologies where it is possible now that the product and services can be directly delivered to consumers.
Because there's telecom achievements.
Everything.
Yeah. Okay. You have been doing that, this big work for the world. Now, I understand you are retired, right?
Yes.
And what most of your time?
I'm now a social entrepreneur.
Okay.
And a social entrepreneur means I have taken a sort of a public vow and pledge is I want to spend rest of my life to make this world a better place.
Okay.
And what I do is that I develop the insights of the societies.
Okay.
And each of these societies where I am participating, I sort of get into talking to people who can become my collaborators. So, I am now putting a lot of new management concepts to use, where we are saying that we need to imagine a world, let us say how it should look like. Then we need to co-create better ways of, let us say, improving the quality of life of people. And then we need to collaborate with people who might have technologies or expertise to make it happen. So, that is sort of what I am carrying.
Then let us go a little bit into details. You said about the society, each society you are working. Probably you mean in each country, because you have been investing and living in, you have homes in 5, 6 countries, and then wherever you are dealing with that local community.
Correct.
Let's start from, let's say, India. Where you are from, where you were born, and your home is in Nevada province of India, right?
Yes.
And I remember you were mentioning about creating a farm on your land, inherited from your ancestors. You are creating self-sustainable system.
Correct.
A farm in your place. Right. Please tell us about that.
So, as you say rightly that I have inherited in that area certain lands long time ago, old story. But now what I decided is nature has given us land, we can grow trees on it, we can grow crops on it, and we can have livestock, and we have human beings. So, on that farm what I am doing as a experimentation is trying to create a sustainable cycle, where the land itself also needs to be sustained, because in lot of modern technologies they have degraded land by overuse of chemicals and fertilizers.
Yes.
So, I am demonstrating through that process that ancient land which I have inherited, and how we can start sort of maturely. First, we need to think about the land itself, how do we enrich it. And what nature has created is these plant, whatever trees and crops, and if we create livestock as a partner. So, we obviously use some of these crops for our own use, but we also feed it to the livestock. And then through the livestock, what the livestock does for us is, it is wonderful collaborator of human beings. So, through that we can generate gas, we can then generate from that biomass, we feed it to earthworms. And earthworms then give us what we call a compost, which is the best manure on the planet. And I call the lands alive when there are earthworms are sort of thriving on it, because earthworm is a very sensitive animal. It dies if the temperature are below 0, and it dies if the temperatures are above 35. So, it is very, and it also dies if the land is toxic. So, it requires really conditions, and we say if earthworm can survive, then that place is perfect, safe for human beings. So, on my farm what I am basically doing is exactly that, but what we have been able to demonstrate that in a matter of 3 years, we have multiplied the land productivity twice. So, a field which was earlier, let us say, giving us an output of 10 tons has started giving us 20 tons.
Welcome. So, you have a sort of a sustainable land, then you have land, then crops, then you feed animals. Animals gives you the biomass, which you use.
Milk, meat, various things.
And then you use it for energy, right?
Energy,
power.
And then we recycle it to the land, the compost.
So, in that way that your own farm can be recycling everything.
Correct.
Is it sustainable with your own energy?
Absolutely, everything. Right now, for let us say everybody who is working on the farm, all their energy needs are locally met. So, their food is cooked there, they wash themselves, they heating, anything they do.
You use also solar energy?
We also use solar energy.
So, combine solar energy, biomass energy, you sustain that farm. How many people?
About 14 families.
1 for families.
Yes.
Probably then about maybe 70 around all heads.
About quite a large number.
Yes. And then how big land is?
It's about 30 acre.
30 acre means a hectare would be?
Hectare would be, it will be 12 hectare.
12 hectare, okay.
So, it's basically one family on 1 hectare.
Okay, that sounds good. Then, so that system, you think, can be used for other countries?
Absolutely.
How do you find, because you know this country, how you think Mongolia can do in that sense?
It can do wonders. I have always, as you started beginning asking me question, I have somehow when I landed first time you hosted me here, I have somehow part of my body feels something in this soil here. And I genuinely believe that Mongolia can be surplus not only for feeding itself, but to feed the world, because the wonderful things in Mongolia are surplus fresh water, 300 days of sun, and then you, as it is, there is each Mongolian owns, let us say 15 animals, because I call it that way, average 45 million livestock. Now, it is how do we make it work? If these animals are made as partners, and that whatever the recycling process and land is created, what we need to do is basically make land more productive through the process of basically putting this cycle to use. So, let us say my hypothesis is that small portion of the land needs to be secured where the livestock stay and the composting system created. So that, because yes, Mongolia gets snow and it becomes cold between November to let us say March. So, during that period the small portion of the land will have to be done where again the biomass and the solar can give us the energy, but rest of the year we can do wonders on this land in terms of, in terms of how do we continue to regenerate the land, how do we do the optimal use of the water, and how do we basically turn livestock as our partners.
Yeah, this is in a sense new culture for our nomads, because you talk about the fixed land.
Yes.
Where you process, you recycle everything.
Yes.
Yet the animals in Mongolia, this is more the moving here and there.
Yeah.
And now you are touching the issue of land ownership, which is still missing big issue in the country. So by your hypothesis,
yeah.
So once if it is fixed land, it can be sustainable.
Correct. See, the main thing which I am saying is, let us say, because it is such a vast land, certain experiments of this nature need to be proven to the families.
Yes.
So, okay, in case of India, you can have one family on 1 hectare. Let us say in Mongolia, because there is a frost certain part of the year, so you may not use the land 365 days as in India we can do that. So, here let us say go with the hypothesis, okay, the land will be used only 4 months, let us start with. Summer months, we start, so we can say, okay, so 3 hectare is what a family.
Okay.
So, because 3 or 4 hectare, and through that process, my point is, we do need to, because these right now the animals' energy is getting wasted.
Yes.
It's not being put to make the land.
Except you are burning dung.
Burning or
That's,
wasting actually,
yes.
because what happens, the dung is a very interesting, it's a biomass. It can only give you energy if you have it hot and then put it through the, because if it becomes cold, then the gas is gone.
Yes, okay, I see.
So, you immediately, let us say within a matter of, when the fresh biomass comes, you have to put it in the chamber.
Okay.
Then only it will give gas.
I see.
If you put it throw in the snow, the gas is gone.
All right, let's a little bit shift to how do you see the future of this country successful, having in mind our strategic location in between 2 giant markets, which has own specifics. Can we be different? Can Mongolia be better, thriving economy?
Absolutely. I have always believed Mongolia should be, I call a Singapore of North Pole, because the neighboring countries are big, but I also call they are disorganized. Disorganized. Because large country, I see it in India, big countries, it is difficult for them, they are not agile. Mongolia with this young population can be agile, and it has already proven in last 20 plus years my hypothesis that Mongolia can leapfrog. But now I see more, let us say Ulaanbaatar for example, I see it as a metropolis which will be the service and entertainment hub of North Pole.
Okay.
Because if you look from east to west or south to north, vast lands are lying and there is nothing equivalent of what Ulaanbaatar can offer.
Okay.
So, it becomes a, like a thriving hub for the people to come for whatever their goods, services, trading, entertainment, music, food, and all that lively thing. So, that is one side I see in the other side I see, because this is a vast land, I do see kind of environment which rest of the world can't have, because Mongolia is blessed with the vast lands. So, the kind of thing, let us say if we start doing sustainability and protect Mongolia's environment, then the world also will come here for fresh air, blue skies, nice sun, 360 days of sun. All of those things are only possible in Mongolia because of the way let us say their vast lands and these. I was one day in one of the mountain and I saw 360-degree view, and we in Indian philosophy have this, that there is a sun or moon, there is a sky, and from their horizons you can straight away only see the vast greeneries in Mongolia, and then you can see the fresh rivers. So, that kind of thing, those seen 360-degree view, you can't find on planet.
So, tourism-wise, it can also promote
and a high value, where you get fresh air.
So basically what you're saying is the Ulaanbaatar city could be the megapolis service hub of the Northeast Asia, all the way to the pole,
Correct.
using all the advantage we have,
Yeah.
including the system, agility, whatever. And the countryside could be sustainable, and then we have more tourists, people coming.
Correct.
Great vision.
Yeah, that's what I genuinely believe, and I do believe, I think Mongolia will achieve it, because you have democracy. Lot of countries do not enjoy the advantage which Mongolia has been advantaging for 20 plus years since the democracy has come here. All the people will co-create. The other day, I will give you an example. I was in the evening coming outside from countryside, and I came to Ulaanbaatar. It was evening, 11 o'clock or so. And then I commented to my fellow travelers. I said, this city has real potential because it's created by people. In democracy, everybody is participating. And when you have people participating, they will create things based on the needs. So you look at here, restaurant, cafe, music, shops, all of this is not by somebody dictating. It's people, they see opportunities and they create them. And through that process brings the melting pot. So I see that Ulaanbaatar already has 95 countries, nationalities here. And through that, it will be a co-creation of everybody's creativity coming, everybody is sort of participating. There is a democracy which allows people to thrive.
So not only Mongolian culture, but international culture.
International culture.
Intervene together.
Intervene, and it is, and that is what I see here.
Okay.
It's a metropolis which will, the people will co-create.
My last question about your name, why Han?
Well, actually that is what brought me to Mongolia. Because in India or South Asia, nobody was able to answer me why my name is Khan. But when Unilever posted me in Singapore, I said, okay, here is an opportunity. So why don't I go to Mongolia? I came, and then I have learned. Now I have almost become an expert not only on Genghis Khan, but on Mongolia, but also why my name. And so it is very interesting that a Chinese emperor actually started giving the title of Khan. He gave first title, there was a person by the name Ong Khan. Then he gave to Temujin the title of Khan. And through that process, what happened in India, the Mughal Empire, which is part actually from Mongol, it's the word they forgot the N. So the inheritance of Babur, who led the Mughal dynasty in India. So the name started coming through that process to Indian subcontinent. And my forefathers then sort of started having a name Khan.
Here we have an version that the Han is coming from our words, and we have created Genghis Khan. The name comes from that first time, and then the other generations were giving, and that during the Genghis great empire, we have been around the world, including North India, and we understand the Mogul. What you call they are interconnected with Mongolia. But that's the little bit history brief. So how long you are going to work in Mongolia now?
I will work till die.
Good work. Okay.
Because what has happened is Mongolia, I am emotionally as you attached, and my wife has set up an enterprise here. That gives me an excuse to come and sort of to be in this country. But what it does is I love this place. So as a result of it, as you say, you were referring, I have homes in 4 or 5 countries, and Mongolia is one of them where I have a home. So,
well, that's great news, and thank you for coming to my interview and share with us your vision, your experience, and your knowledge on how could we do better. Thank you very much, Mr. Khan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.